welcome back. Let's do question 10. So it says, determine the quadratic function of x that has the following properties. The function is symmetrical to y is equal to ax squared minus 7x plus c about the y-axis, And then the function is symmetrical about x is equal to 1. And then the function is the value of negative 20 when x is equal to 4. Right. Now let's look at each point at a time. Right. The first one says the function is symmetrical to y is equal to ax squared minus 7x plus c about the y-axis. Remember the reflections about the y-axis and reflection about the x-axis? Right. Reflection about the y-axis. F of x becomes what? F of negative x. That's reflection about the y-axis. Remember that, okay? So here where there's x, you put what? You put negative x. And then reflection about the x-axis. Reflection about the x-axis, f of x becomes negative f of x. Okay, this is the x-axis. Okay, right. Now, so it means here, the whole function, you put negative 1 outside what? The whole function. Let me just explain that. Right, let me start with the reflection about the y-axis. So let's say we have f of x is equal to 2x squared minus x. So if it's a reflection about the y-axis, it will be reflection about the y-axis is going to be f of negative x, meaning that where there's x, you put negative x. So it's going to be 2 negative x squared minus negative x. You see that? And then you get your 2x squared plus x. And then if it's a reflection about the x-axis, this whole function, okay, you put negative 1 outside, so it becomes minus f of x, which is like negative, and then 2x squared minus x, and then which becomes negative 2x squared plus x. Okay, that's reflection about the y-axis and reflection about the x-axis. Now let's go back to our question. So now it says y is equal to ax squared minus 7x plus c is reflected about the y-axis. So it becomes what? So it means that it becomes y is equal to a and then negative x squared minus 7 negative x plus c. You see that? That's reflection about the y-axis. Where there's x, we put negative x. Then becomes y is equal to ax squared plus 7x because of negative here times negative plus c. So that's the function after the reflection about the y-axis. And then we go to the next step. The function is symmetrical about x is equal to 1. Okay, so it means here we're talking about the axis of symmetry. If it's a concave down graph like this, okay, it means x is equal to 1. That's the axis of symmetry. This is the maximum point there. Okay, if it's concave up, it's going to be like this. That's concave up. This will be the minimum there. At x is equal to 1. Here at x is equal to 1. So we don't know if the graph is going to be concave down or concave up. We'll see when we get the value of a. Right. And then we know here the equation for the axis of symmetry is a negative b over 2a is equal to our x, isn't it? So we use that. So let's just use that here. So it means negative b over 2a is equal to 1 because we're given that x is equal to 1 here. We're given that x is equal to 1 here. So we multiply both sides by 2a, or we just cross multiply, but let's multiply both sides by 2a. So it becomes negative b is equal to 2a. And then our b is what? 7. Our b is 7. So where there's b, let's write 7. So it's negative 7 is equal to 2a, meaning that a is equal to negative 7 over 2. You see that? So now we have the value of a. We have the value of a, so we can write y is equal to negative 7 over 2 x squared plus 7x plus c. We're almost there, because if you check here, we're left with just finding the value of c there. Right, how do we find the value of c? We use the last point. We're saying the function is a value of negative 20 when x is equal to 4. So we put negative 20 here. Negative 20 is equal to negative 7 over 2 x squared plus 7x plus c. Oh, I forgot to substitute the value of 4, because when x is equal to 4, let me write again. Let me write this thing. Negative 20 is equal to negative 7 over 2, 4 squared. Where there's x, we put 4, plus 7 times 4, okay, plus c. And then, okay, let's get the values of these things. This is negative 20 is equal to 4 squared is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 times negative 7, that's negative 56. But you can use your calculator there. And then plus 28 plus c. And then if you transpose everything this side, we say negative 20 plus 56 minus 28 is equal to c. We can see that c is equal to 8. Okay, so therefore, our equation now, we're almost there. We just had to find the value of c there. So is y is equal to negative 7 over 2 x squared plus 7x plus 8. That is the function. Okay, that is the quadratic function. And it's concave down because the value of a here is negative. Right, you could have done this at this point here. Okay, at this point here, right, you could have what, used another method. Let me just try to explain here using the space here. Right, so we know that this is the maximum or the minimum point. We know that this is the maximum or the minimum point. This is where the maximum, this is where the maximum or the minimum point is. This is the axis of symmetry. So if it's concave up, okay, this is the maximum. If it's concave down, this is the maximum point. If it's concave up, this is the minimum point. And then how do you get the minimum or the maximum point? We have to differentiate. We find the derivative and equate the derivative to 0. Now we know the x value, so we're going to substitute our x value into the derivative. Then we're going to get what? We're going to get our a. Okay, so here we can say dy dx is equal to, and we're deriving this 2 times a is 2a, and then x2 minus 1 is 1, there is 2ax, right? And then here plus 7. Okay, this is a constant, so it disappears. Okay, derivative of a constant is 0. So we're saying that if this will be 0, the maximum point. But now when x is what? When x is 1. When x is 1. So it's going to be 0 is equal to 2a 1 plus 7. So we're getting the same thing there. So it means, which one do I move? Let me move 7. Negative 7 is equal to 2a. And then negative 7 over 2 is equal to a. You see that? This is just the same as this. And then from here, we just do the same process. Okay, so the difference was in how we find the value of a. We can use the axis of symmetry equation, negative b over 2a, or you can what, get the derivative like that. Okay, right, we are done, so we're going to meet when we do question 11.